Hi, welcome to the podcast Beyond the Ballot, a Lone Wolf production. This is where we showcase local politics and hot community issues. Today's guest is Somers Town Councilwoman Gina Arena. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be back again.
So that has a nice ring to it. Town Councilwoman. First time I've had a councilwoman on the show. I just want to congratulate you with your appointment.
Well, thank you so much. I'm very excited to be a councilwoman and to work for the town of Somers.
So I've known you for almost 2 years. You're one of my best friends.
Yes.
So I know a lot about you. But I want you to do a quick synoptic or life review of yourself. So tell the listeners a little about your family life, some of your philanthropical work, and anything else that you'd want to add.
Sure. I was born and raised in Northern Westchester. I was born at Northern Westchester Hospital, lived in Bedford, Pound Ridge, South Salem, and now Somers. Actually, Lewisboro, I should correct that. Lewisboro and now Somers. I've lived in Somers the past 38 years. Hard to believe. Raised my 8 children in Somers. Some went to Somers schools. Others went to, well, actually, my one daughter who is autistic, she's my second daughter, she went to behavioral school for autism. She's nonverbal autistic, and she currently resides in a group home in Ossining.
And it's my understanding that you were very instrumental in that area, right?
Yeah. I'll let me run down the kids, and then it's probably the better way for us to do that. So my oldest daughter, she is 36, and she currently resides back in New York. She lived in California for a little while, and she is engaged, and she has a 2-year-old son. My daughter, who lives in Ossining in the group home, is 35. They might not want me to tell their age, but too bad.
That's still young.
Then my next daughter was in the United States Army, and she did a tour in Afghanistan, and she's retired out. And she chose to stay in Missouri, but now she's actually in Kansas, but still in Kansas City. And she has my oldest granddaughter. And then my daughter, who is going to be 30 next week, has 3 of my grandchildren, and they live nearby. And then my next daughter, who is 28, she lives with us still, and she works for a doctor's office, and she's planning hopefully to go to nursing school or go back to nursing school. And then my son Jimmy, who passed away from brain cancer, he's my angel all the time. And then my next daughter is, how old is she? 23, and she is also going to go to nursing school. She just paid her tuition. And then my son goes to Mercy College, and he wants to be an animator. So that's everybody in a nutshell. And my wonderful husband, Jim, who helps me endure all of it. So we have 5 grandchildren, and there's been a lot that's gone on in our life with our children. We've gone through the opioid epidemic with one child. Thank goodness she has overcome it, and she's doing very, very well. And nothing but good things to say. But I understand what families go through. It's a horrible disease.
Yeah.
Addiction for anyone, no matter what it is a very challenging thing to have to live through, especially as a parent, but also for them as well. And you never know what's right or wrong when you're making decisions. You try to do your best and hope that you're doing the right thing. Mental health is a very difficult thing to tackle. Plus, I also have suffered from anxiety and depression in the past. So I know what it feels like to have to struggle through that and continue on with life, and know what you have to do to raise your family and keep going, because
keep moving forward
you
for
have
everyone
to.
else.
And it's debilitating. Yeah. And I've been through a couple of bouts where it was that debilitating. So I'm very sensitive to that topic. Then we've had autism She's nonverbal and she's doing very well. It's been a long road. And yes, I advocated for her starting when she was 3 years old. She was the first child in New York State to receive hours of applied behavior analysis at home, 40 hours a week, based on the research at the time. And we were able to go from there and help start a school in Westchester, the Devereux Millwood Learning Center, and which is a very successful program. I think it's now moved over to Mount Kisco, still working with children with autism. And it's one of the greatest highlights of my life. But I'm still active when it comes to autism.
And it's very impactful of you because I did run into a family that was there with you in the beginning of it. And, you know, they were just so grateful for your advocacy and everything that you did. So still to this day,
yes,
I've met people that have, were there with you.
Right. It's amazing. You don't realize when you're in the throes of it, what you're doing. And a message I can give anybody, you always have to, when you're fighting for something and you're working for something so hard, at the time that you're doing it, you feel exhausted and you feel like you're just running in circles. But the truth of the matter is you're going to help somebody else someday. And you don't think of it at the time, but it does have that ripple effect. And before you know it, it becomes the way of the land. And if we didn't work as hard as we did then, we wouldn't be where we are today.
Right.
So I encourage young people and I encourage everybody, if you're working for a cause, put your all into it because it's going to have an effect on somebody in the future.
Absolutely.
And then we also, my son who passed away from brain cancer after a 20-month battle at the age of 4, he passed away at the age of 6. We started the Jimmy Foundation in his memory. And that's Jimmy is the acronym for Just Imagine Making Miracles Yours. The organization at this time we're not active. You never know what the future brings, but it's not active right at the moment. But the idea of the organization was to give back to the community through his memory by helping other families with their financial needs, whether it be paying their mortgage or getting them gas cards, whatever their needs were at the time. And we were able to be very successful at that. And by the time we stopped really using the organization, we probably helped about $250,000 worth of funds to help these particular families. And it's a great feeling. And then we also used to do Santa Claus down at the Children's Hospital and collect toys. And Santa Claus would fly in on a helicopter. It's great to give back. It's great to recognize when you have a tragedy, it's still about helping other people. And I can honestly say Jimmy was so very much that way at a very young age. So that's a little bit about what we've been through. And veterans are near and dear to my heart as well. And now we're also in the throes of making sure my dad ages in place, which is also another challenge.
With dignity, would you say?
Yes, yeah, with dignity and just be able to stay where he wants to be. Mm-hmm. He wants to be in his home. And financially, it doesn't happen for a lot of people,
Yeah.
And we have to find ways to help them to be able to do that. Whether they want to move in with a family member or stay in their own home, financially, it's getting more and more difficult for people.
Right. And people work their whole life,
Yes.
and then it gets to this point, and it's just so unfortunate for a lot of older people.
Right.
So, I mean, you've been, so involved with the community for so long, even before you pursued politics.
Yes.
So, well, I'm going to pose this question. So now that you're a town councilwoman, mm-hmm. why did you not initially run for that, since it was, quote unquote, a little bit more smoothly achieved. You ran
Right.
for legislator twice, state senate twice.
Which is still my dream. I want to make sure
I'm not going to shut. We're not shutting that door. We're not shutting.
I just
that door.
want to make sure people understand that. But
so yeah, elaborate on that.
How did I start where I started? So I was kind of thrown into politics. It wasn't like I turned around one day and said, okay, I think I'm going to run for office now. A friend of mine who had run for office and had been the county legislator in my district, they were looking for someone to run. And he said, I know this woman who's a Republican, and she's got a lot of things that she's done and helped people with, and I think she would be great. So he called me up and took me down for an interview with the Republicans, and we talked, and by the time I walked out the door, I was the candidate. The only reason why I didn't ever pursue town council was because there was never an opportunity. I'm not someone who was going to go primary a sitting
Republican
councilman, Republican council person.
Out of respect.
And it just wasn't something that I felt comfortable doing. If the opportunity arose to then run for it, that would have been different, but there was never an opportunity. And a lot of people ask me this question, why didn't you start there? And I'm like, I would have.
Right. But it was never presented to you.
But it was never
an option.
An option or a possibility, because the seats were all had people in them. So I like to give people the chance for their time when they're there.
Right.
And
let me say this. I would assume running for politics, right? Everything about you is on the table. Anything is fair game. This is what makes good people not want to pursue politics.
Exactly. Well,
you're
you're exactly right, because my idea, I was so excited when they asked me, and I said, oh my gosh, I'm going to get to talk about autism, and I'm going to get to talk about the things that I've done in the community, and I'm going to get to talk about everything that I've accomplished and how it helps other people, like what we're doing right now.
Right.
I'm going to be able to, it's not about the other person for me. It's about
serving
what
the
I've
greater
done
good and serving the community.
Right. And having an opponent is part of all of this, a Democrat and a Republican. This is the way it works. Little did I know that none of those topics would even want to be discussed. Little did I know that it would turn into topics that really didn't affect me, and found myself saying, well, but wait a minute, I want to talk about X, Y, and Z. I want to talk about the taxes and why my children can't live here. I want to talk about autism and how we can make it easier for the 1 in 10 children that are going to grow up to be adults and are going to need a place to live because their parents are no longer going to be here. I want to talk about our veterans who are suffering from homelessness. I want to talk about the disabled. And it was on deaf ears almost. It wasn't the topics. It became all about federal. Mm-hmm. It became all about attacking each other. As much as I refrained from it myself and just always ran on the facts and ran on my opponent's record as to what they voted for, I always somehow got slammed into it being about women's reproductive rights. I have 6 daughters.
And which, by the way, you were obviously clearly a woman, and
yes.
Your opponent is not a woman. So
that particular opponent, you're correct.
Right.
So it was almost like this lie that was going on that I needed to set the record straight. Mm-hmm. That I'm a woman. I have 6 daughters. I am not in the business of telling a woman what to do in her doctor's office. Not my job. Personally, as a mother and as a woman, I am pro-life for my body, for who I am. But I don't feel that I had the right to tell any other woman what they should be doing.
Right.
And that got slammed in the media. That everything always came back to that subject. And it was hurtful.
Mm-hmm.
It was very, very hurtful.
I think it deflected, like you said, from other issues that
are really going
pertinent
on.
to talk about, that were more relevant.
Right.
And that's more of, like you said, a federal issue, right? It has no relevance.
Well, now it's a state issue.
Right. Now
they threw it back to the state. But it was really the only topic that they seemed to have to go after me with.
Right.
I'm just a mom. I'm just somebody who works full time, like most New Yorkers, who just wants to make a difference and do the right thing for our families. That's what it was about for me.
And like you said, you're not closing the door. If anything, by having this appointment, this builds your resume.
Right. And I can talk about the things that are important to community. And what's important to community really is just taking care of each other.
Right. It's as simple as that.
Right.
So do you mind like discussing the process, like how it came to be your appointment, what led up to that?
Sure. No problem. So it started with a councilman who had been in the seat, Tom Garrity, who was a councilman up until he decided to step down. And Tom, if by chance you're watching, thank you so much for your service to the town of Somers. You were there for a very long time and you did a lot of great work for the town of Somers. And I hope you're enjoying your whatever you may be doing at this moment. But thank you again for your service to the town of Somers. So he had decided to step down halfway through his term. He had a 4-year term. And he announced it, I want to say the beginning of the summer. And we knew that he was going to his last day, I think, was September 30th. So leading up to that point, if he had resigned by a certain date, they would have chosen a candidate and the candidate would have been put on the ballot.
Okay.
I believe it was the beginning of September. I can't remember the exact date, but he was after the date.
Okay.
So therefore, it had to become an appointment. So the appointment would, once it was done, would run from the time that he resigned to the end of 2026.
Okay.
So that's the spot I'm filling right now. Although his term doesn't end until December 31st, 2027. So hopefully anybody who's listening is understanding this because it's very confusing and it took me a little while. So, but in order to finish the term, the choice was you could have a special election in the beginning of 2026, or if no special election, it would be pushed to November of 2026 to run for the seat and finish out the term to the end of 2027.
Gotcha.
Hopefully that makes sense. So I'm appointed until the end of next year, but I have to keep the seat for 2027 to finish out that term.
You would be on
I have to run in 2026.
That's what I was going to say. So you'll be on the ballot for 2026 in November.
Yes.
Or early voting usually is in October, but yes.
Right. So with that, I will have to run next year for 2027. Now we also have the even year law that has come into play. So in order to then go to my to take the next term, I have to run in 2027 for the 2028.
Right.
So I would have to run this upcoming year and the following year.
So you're going to be on a campaign marathon.
Forever. I mean, thank goodness my stamina is there that I've done.
Well,
it
you
before.
do. You definitely you had 8 kids. I mean, if anyone could do it.
And I can tell you, I like running. People, even though we talked about the other stuff before, meeting the people is what I like. I like talking to people. I like understanding what their needs are. I like trying to come up with solutions for them, which I did a lot of when I was campaigning. I like knocking doors.
And
I'm in an element.
And it reminds me specifically about your involvement with the fight against the lithium battery storage facility.
Yes.
You became so close with a lot of the people that were fighting.
Yes.
In Somers, I can't say the word, specifically Baldwin Place.
Yes.
Right? You know everyone by first name basis over there, very close to everyone.
I think I should rent a house over there just so I feel like I can be part of the neighbors group.
Yeah. So that I just wanted to stop. That's what it reminded me of.
Well, that was a huge undertaking on their part, and me jumping into it. You know, I live in Somers. It would have affected me if that went in. There was a 5-mile radius. I was in the 5-mile radius.
Yeah.
But I was also running for state senate, and it was an important topic. Yeah. And talking about home rule and making sure all of those things stayed in place. And it was natural. It felt natural to be a part of it.
I'm going to digress a little bit. My brother actually called me the other day. He's looking to buy a new house in New Jersey, Howell specifically.
Oh, my cousins live there.
Oh, really?
Sorry.
That was where I was digressed. First from. And he said to me, he goes, this house, it's a very good price, and it's been on the market for a while. What is a battery energy storage site? I said, Matthew, don't you remember? I told him, I said, run. It's not if, it's when this will go off. Yep. So he goes, okay. So of course he was no longer interested, but I thought it was funny that, it's still
a topic.
Exactly.
It's not only still a topic, it's still being talked about as it should be used. And after all the research everybody knows about it, I'm baffled when I still see it pop up in things as something that is part of the climate control and the electricity issue. And I mean, all of this stuff has made our electricity bill, all the bills go up.
Yeah. You don't have to tell me. I go on my usual rant during every episode about it. So, okay.
Don't worry, I'm sure I have my own rant.
So, in short, how has your experience, I know that it's been like so brief right now, but how has your experience, has it been like being on the town council, on the town board right now?
It kind of feels, at first I wasn't quite sure where I fit in. I haven't done anything like this. I've been running for so long. It's always, everything is about campaigning. And it kind of feels surreal almost. I was appointed on November 6th. I think that was the date. And then the following week I was sworn in. And right after I was sworn in, I went into my first meeting, executive session first, and then the town board meeting. And people were there to watch and quietly cheer me on. I've had a lot of support. A lot of people, I walk through town, if I go someplace, people are like, oh my gosh, congratulations. There's a lot to learn. Right now, I have chosen to kind of ease my way in, listen to what's going on, help where I think I can really help, and insert things that I think can help. I mean, people need to know I work for Westchester County. So I know a lot about county government. I know a lot about purchasing law. I know a lot about state law from running. And I know quite a bit about town law. So I feel like I have a lot of information that I can share to help. I understand, at my job, I do contracts. So I understand big construction contracts and things like that. So it's wherever, and not only that, my husband works for the town of Bedford, so I understand the municipality end of it. He's worked there for 30 years, so I understand when things are going on in the highway department. I know what they're talking about. So I feel like I have a lot of that type of experience that that can help when questions come up. And so far, I think some have come up, and I've been able to help with them. But I'm trying to just take a step back and just observe and see what the issues are and hear what the other councilmen are talking
and not
about.
have a knee-jerk reaction.
Right. I don't think that would be fair to anybody if I did that. There are things that are being talked about that have been talked about for 2 years. I have no idea what they are.
Right.
So I'm trying to update myself on that and go back a little bit and see where things, are from where they started and where they are now. It's a lot to take in, but so far so good. I think I've had 6 town board meetings so far.
Okay.
Right? No.
What day of the
No,
week? What day
I've
of the
had
week?
4.
What day of the
Excuse me.
week does it fall on your town board meetings?
The first and second Thursdays of the month.
Okay.
So
and that's live streamed.
So actually,
on...
I've had 3.
Okay.
And 1 special meeting, so I was right, 4.
So and that's live streamed on YouTube. Anyone can watch.
Yes, they live stream it.
Okay. Speaking of construction, right? There's been a lot of buzz about a new proposed development in Somers on Mapac Ave. And to my knowledge, it is a development of 74 homes. I know a lot of changes are being proposed to the zoning to allow for this. At the last town board meeting, you abstained from the vote. Could you talk about this more in detail?
Sure, that's exactly the kind of thing that I'm talking about. This project has been going on for 2 years. I have not been a part of this project. There's a lot going on with it. It needs to be rezoned. They want to put in, I think it's either 73. I think it's 73 units.
Okay.
It might be 74.
it might,
It's somewhere in that, somewhere between 70 and 80, somewhere in there.
Okay.
They are going to be units, and it's currently zoned for single-family homes.
Okay.
So that's about as far as I know.
Okay.
And I just did not feel comfortable voting yes or voting no because I don't know enough. And it's not fair for me and the people to all of a sudden have an opinion on something I know nothing about.
Right.
That's how I felt.
So where in the process are they with this?
So they are still, it hasn't even gone through the zoning board yet.
Okay.
So as far as I know, this is just preliminary stuff that we're at.
Okay. All right. I mean, they have to, I would assume, infrastructure, sewage, everything has to be considered.
Right.
More increase in population.
So I know that they've done traffic study.
Okay.
Which I'm very concerned about because most of the traffic's going to be on Route 6. Right up by the Tool Nut, if people are familiar with that hill, right there at Mayapack Avenue. That concerns me, and it concerns a lot of people in the area. I know that. I've listened. A lot of people have asked me about that and are concerned about it. A lot of people also have videotaped their drive, sitting in traffic and how long it takes.
I know,
it's a rough area.
It is.
So there's a lot of concern and I understand it. They gave me a whole drive of all the past things that I'm going to sit down and go through so I can see where they've been. But they've done a lot of prep work. And now I think the next step is that it's going to go to the zoning to see if they can get the zoning changed. I think that's where it is. Like I said, I'm still learning on this particular topic.
Which I respect, that you are very genuine and you're being honest.
Right. There were about 5 items in the list. One was the sewers, one was the water. Mm-hmm. Those I voted yes for. I know about that stuff. I know that you need to have that stuff there. It was more so for me the impact and not knowing if that was the right answer.
Right.
73 units.
Right.
I just need to do more work on it. And so I just felt like it was better for me to abstain on that particular question.
Fair enough. Is there anything else you want to talk about before we conclude this episode?
No, I'm honored that you asked me to come on again.
Of course.
I think that you do a fantastic job with this, and more people should ask to have you interview them, because you're a very easygoing, nice conversation type interview, and it's very comfortable.
I'm glad to hear that. That's really, truly a nice compliment to hear.
Well, even the first time I was on, it was great. We had a good time.
Yeah.
I'm thankful to the town of Somers who are putting their trust in me right now. And hopefully I can come on before I have to run next year and the year after that.
Yeah, your marathon of campaigning.
And again, you never know what the future holds. But this is where we're at right now, and hopefully I can make some difference.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
As usual, it's great to have you on the show. I look
you.
forward to seeing everything that you're going to be doing for the town of Somers. Super excited. And that concludes this episode. Thank you for watching Beyond the Ballot. Like, subscribe, leave us your comments. Also, if anyone, a business owner or individual, would be interested in sponsoring future episodes, please reach out to us. We are also accepting donations for anyone who enjoys our podcast and wants to support our efforts. Thank you.